If you're a leader, you know the real challenge isn't the big idea or the perfect strategy. It's the team, right? Can they actually get it done? Can they handle the pressure and pull off a win? Well, today we are breaking down the exact blueprint for building that kind of team.
I want you to think about it like this. You are the captain of a ship, and you're sailing in some seriously unpredictable seas. Your success and, honestly, your survival comes down to one thing: your crew. This quote just nails it. Get the team right, and you can handle any storm. Get it wrong, and you're basically dead in the water before you even leave port.
And look, the stakes are just incredibly high right now. We're in what you might call a capability commitment crisis. It's not just about what people can do anymore, it's about whether they want to do it. Just look at this number. Research shows that a single checked-out employee can crater a team's performance by up to 54%. That is one person dragging the entire team down. So the question is, how do you fix it?
The solution is actually a pretty simple but incredibly powerful tool, the Capability Commitment Matrix. This is your map. This is how you understand, categorize, and actually manage every single person on your team. It lets you stop guessing and start leading with real clarity.
Okay, so it all boils down to two things. On one side, you've got capability. This is pretty straightforward. It's the can they do the job question. You know, their skills, their knowledge, their actual experience. But on the other side, you've got commitment. And this is the will they do the job part. It's all about their motivation, their drive, their fit with the culture. And when you plot these two against each other, your whole team dynamic just snaps into focus. It becomes crystal clear.
Now check this out, because this is the reality for most teams. Statistically, your team probably breaks down something like this. You've got about 20% who are A players, your absolute rock stars. Then you have this massive 70% chunk right in the middle. Those are your B players. And then you've got that 10% at the bottom, the C players. Knowing this split is so important because it tells you exactly where to put your energy as a leader.
All right, so let's dive into these four quadrants. Each one represents a totally different type of employee, and believe me, each one needs a completely different strategy from you.
First up, let's talk about that toxic 10%. These are your C players, low skill, low motivation, you know who they are. They're the ones missing deadlines, spreading negativity, and pushing back on any kind of feedback. And let me be clear, tolerating this is a total recipe for disaster. I mean, just look at what happened with Enron. Their collapse wasn't just about fraud at the very top, it was a whole culture that put up with incompetence and low commitment at every single level. It literally rotted the company from the inside out.
So what do you do about it? You need a super clear, no-nonsense action plan. Phase 1, document absolutely everything. Set crystal clear expectations and put them in writing. Phase 2, you give them one last shot with a formal 30-day performance improvement plan. It spells out exactly what needs to change and by when. And Phase 3, look, if there's no major turnaround, you have to make the tough call and part ways. Netflix has this famous question they ask managers: if this person told you they were leaving, would you fight to keep them? If the answer's no, you already know what you need to do.
Okay, let's shift gears to a much more exciting group, the eager learners. These are your hidden gems. They're part of that huge 70% B player group. They have an amazing attitude and tons of commitment. They just don't have the skills, yet. This is where that famous Southwest Airlines motto, hire for attitude, train for skill, is just genius. They built a legendary company by betting on people with that high commitment because they knew you can always teach skills, but you can't teach passion.
For these folks, your job is simple. You become their coach. Your first step, as you can see here, is to be really honest. Can they actually learn the skills they need? If the answer is yes, then you roll out an intensive development program. You pair them with mentors, you invest in training, and you track their progress with really clear 30, 60, and 90-day checkpoints. This isn't just about hoping for the best. It's about giving them a structured path to see if they can become an A player.
Now for what might be the trickiest group of all, the disengaged star. This is the other half of that big B player middle. These people are brilliant. They have all the talent in the world, but for whatever reason, their motivation is just completely fizzled out, and they are a massive flight risk. The classic story here is Apple, right before Steve Jobs came back in 1997. The company was full of incredible engineers who just lost their way and their passion under bad leadership.
So how did Jobs fix it? He used a playbook that looks a lot like this. Step 1 is about recognition. You have to publicly acknowledge their talent. Step 2 is the challenge. You give them a huge, important project that can reignite that fire. And then step 3 is assessment. You track their engagement over the next 90 days. Get this right, and you can turn someone who's about to walk out the door into your next great innovator.
And finally, we get to the champions, your A players, that top 20% with high capability and high commitment.
These are the people driving the vast majority of your results. They're proactive, they're self-motivated, and they basically lift up the entire team's culture. Think about how Amazon intentionally developed Andy Jassy, grooming him from a top performer all the way to CEO. That's what happens when you manage your A players the right way.
So, how do you manage them? Well, you don't just leave them alone. That's the biggest mistake. You need a system. You have to recognize them constantly. You elevate them with bigger roles and more responsibility before they have to ask for it. You develop them into your next leaders, and you are actively, always working to keep them. Seriously, don't fall into the trap of ignoring your best people just because they seem fine on their own.
Okay, so that's the theory. But theory is totally useless if you don't put it into action, right? So how do you actually start using this like tomorrow? Let's walk through a simple roadmap.
Here is your 90-day challenge. In week 1, I want you to confidentially plot every single person on your team onto the matrix. This is just for you, nobody else. Week 2, you create a specific action plan for each person. Then, weeks 3 and 4, you execute. This is when you launch those plans for your C players and your B players. If you stick to this, I guarantee that by day 90, you will see real tangible results. Your C players will either be improving or gone. Your B players will be on a clear path to growth, and your A players will be more locked in than ever.
Let's bring this all home with the single most important idea here. Because this framework, it isn't just about managing a few different personalities. It's really about a fundamental shift in how you see your role as a leader.
And this quote just captures it perfectly. See, your job isn't to be a firefighter, running around putting out one little personnel fire after another. Your job is to be an architect. You are designing a system where top performers are nurtured, potential is developed, and underperformance is dealt with methodically. That is how you build a team that doesn't just get by, but a team that truly wins.
So I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. As you look at your own team through this new lens, which player really needs your attention first? Is it the C player who's dragging everyone down, the eager learner who's just waiting for a chance, the disengaged star you're about to lose, or the A player you can't afford to neglect? Your answer to that question, that's your first step.